Hey, good morning. Just a few days ago, I was speaking at CodeFest conference in Novosibirsk in Russia, and I was telling the audience about 5 trends which I think are dominating right now the software development industry. And one of those trends seems to be interesting, and that's why I decided to record this video to explain more about why I think this is happening. And I'm talking about replacing companies with projects. I told them at the conference that there will be no companies and no offices in the near future, like in 5-10 years. We will have only projects. And the difference between the company and the project is that the company is a place, a business address, a business entity which unites a number of programmers, technical people, and they stay there for a long time doing different projects. They write code, they do design, they work together. They are the company. In the future, we're not going to have that. In the future, we're going to have projects which are uniting people for some time, for a few months, maybe for a few years. And when the project is complete, those people go to different projects. They don't stay together for anymore when the project is done. So in the past, we were focused on keeping people together. In the future, we're going to be focused on results those people deliver. And there were many questions at the conference about why I think it's going to happen. Why we should be prepared for that, for working as freelancers, as individual contractors instead of full-time employees of those companies. I think there are 3 main reasons for that. First of all, it's a really high demand for programmers. The market needs many more programmers than right now the world can supply. And that's why local resources are not enough anymore. If your business is in Berlin, for example, and you're looking for 10 Java programmers, then you will have a hard time finding them in Berlin, even in Germany, in just a few days or maybe even a few months. And that's why you will have to go and start working with remote people. Instead of hiring people in Berlin, Java programmers, you will start just hiring Java programmers in Moscow, in New York, in Bangkok, in many places. You will just be looking for Java programmers. You will not care about where they're coming from and where do they live and what languages do they speak, as long as they understand English and can write Java. And as soon as you start recruiting those global market players, the connection, the emotional connection between the programmers in the team, between you and programmers, will be way weaker than it was before in the office. In the office, when you were building a team for a long time, for 5 years ahead, for 10 years, you were paying a lot of attention to making them work together as a team, as a family. And that was reasonable because those families stayed for a long time in the same place, and they were working on different technologies, they were doing different projects, sometimes Java, sometimes C++, sometimes completely something different, sometimes repainting the office. But they were all together. That was the core value. The team, the connections between those people, emotional connections. When we go to the global market, connections will be weaker and you will start losing those people quite fast. For example, you were doing Java development before and now you're getting a different project in your company and it's not Java anymore, or within Java it's a different framework. And then you start telling your people who are sitting in different places that it's time to do a pivot, it's time to change horses and to change technologies and start using a different framework. Some of them will say, sure, why not? Some of them will say, you know, I have other offers on the market which are okay to work with me on the technologies I know. I want to stay with Java, I want to stay with my favorite framework, and now you're asking me to change. I don't want to change, and I'm not emotionally connected to you anymore, so I just switch. I go to a different project. So it will be difficult for you as an owner of the business, as a manager, to retain people together, to keep them together, because they are remote. Second, it's cloud computing. Years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it was necessary for people to stay together in a company, to stay in the office, because computers were expensive. And it was not possible to work remotely in many cases because the equipment, the hardware, was right in the office. And that's why we kept people together. Now, the computer, the laptop in front of me, and then cloud resources, servers on Amazon, and that's it. So to work, to do my job, I don't need to be next to the computer. I don't need to sit next to an expensive hardware. I can do it remotely. And number 3 is really fast internet. Now, it's so fast that the video call is not a problem. Even the conference call is not a problem. I can do everything with just my laptop somewhere on the beach. Thanks to the fast internet, again, there's no necessity for us anymore to be in the office, to stay in a closed space. So if you put all these three together, you will understand that in the future, companies who assemble projects, assemble people for a short period of time, and then disband them when people are not necessary anymore, or the technology is changed, or some pivot is happening, those companies will win. Those companies will be way more ahead of companies who are still attached to large offices, to keeping people together, to making them a family. I'm not against the family in general. I'm not against those emotional connections. But I'm saying that the reality on the market is asking us to do a different management now, to have a different attitude to our resources, to programmers. And many companies don't realize that. I had an experience just 2 months ago. I was speaking with someone, a startup. They were looking for a CTO and they were trying to hire me for that position. And they were telling me that they are looking for a CTO person who will lead their technical development for 10 years ahead. And I told them that I can help them to do what they need, to organize some work, to help with the architecture for a few months. And then I will go away, because in a few months, everything that I have to do in that team will be done. They will not need me after that. They will need somebody else who will do some other things. And I can train that person, I can help to find that person, but I will have to go away because I will find something more interesting for me. I don't want to stay with you for 10 years just because you pay me a good salary. I want to find a place to apply my skills, to apply my ambitions. And that place will be somewhere else, because your startup will give me everything you can give in just 3 months or 4 months, in some really short amount of time, where I will be working really hard, doing what needs to be done. And they said, no way, we want somebody who will be fully committed to the business for a long time, for many years ahead. They just don't understand that I will quit anyway, and anybody will quit. Any good programmer, any professional CTO will quit as soon as that person will realize that there's nothing else to do here anymore, because everything is done. I've done what I had to do. All the problems are solved, the problems which you hired me to solve. Now it's time for me to find another company, another project somewhere in New York. That project was in Moscow. The next one will be in New York. The next one will be somewhere else. That will be more interesting for me as a professional, to move from project to project, applying myself where it's the most required, not where it's the closest location to my house, because I can walk there. It's a walking distance from my house, so I just go there, work, they pay me a good salary, I'm happy. That's the past. That's the mentality of programmers from the past. The mentality of the future is, I work in the project, the best project for me right now, the best one who can give me the most they can give me, and where I can give them the most I can. The best fit for technology, the best fit for money, that's where programmers in the future will stay. So if your company will be that type of company, if you will be doing projects in the future instead of offices, instead of companies, then you will be ahead of the market. You're gonna win. That's what I believe in. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned. Bye bye.